Okay, episode 11, 1,500 gallon saltwater system. And you might be asking, isn't that the 265 gallon saltwater system behind you? It is, and it is part of a much bigger system. Originally, I was gonna separate the two tanks, but at least for now, in the process of building all this out, I'm just gonna call it the 1,500 system because there's so much going on. You have a whole new tank being built. You have a giant 700 gallon sump being completely changed into a giant refugium, and you have all the contents of the 265 going to the new tank. Let me show you what we got going on. Let's start with the 600 that we're building on the back. All right, so this is the 600 gallon DIY plywood epoxy build, and as you can see, it has the glass installed, and it is all braced up, and as you can definitely tell from the mass amount of silicone oozing out of it, it's been siliconed into place. The outside's been painted just to protect the wood. There will be a wall here, so it'll be just like the 3,000 gallon, where it'll just appear in wall, and there'll be a removable panel up top to get to it, and then all the nastiness will be back here. So viewing from the front will be nice, and it'll just be a regular, framed out wall. And as you call on the inside, we got rid of the nasty blue, and we just have a neutral black color now. So we have an extra layer of epoxy, two-part epoxy than we even required. So I think I'm at 30 mils, so it's definitely pretty thick. But hey, the thicker the better, even more secure. And as you can see here, we have glass that is siliconed in place and is actually ready for me to remove the bracing pretty soon. And right after that starts the fun part and the scary part, the water test. So we fill it up and we see if we screwed up or not and see if it leaks. And we hope that it doesn't. So at any rate, the next step here will be trimming off some silicone, removing the tape, and getting all this bracing out of here. And then start the water test. And as you can see over here, we have some of the plumbing going in. Let me take you over there closer to it. You can see on the inside here that we have a return and we have two drains. We have a primary drain down here where we want the water level to be, and then we have a secondary drain which basically we're going to shoot for the target of this, but if we have a little extra flow, we'll compensate with here, and then of course as the water level raises up, this could basically double the amount of flow rate. And if we have we have strainers to keep snails and everything out of here. So let me see if I can pull one of these out. They're in there pretty tight. Yep. So at any rate, that'll keep any critters from getting in there. And you can see over here, the plumbing isn't done, but I've just started roughing it in. So the two drains here, and then this will be the return. As you can see, they're going to go down in the sump. Now that's just temporary. They're going to be mounted up on the wall, and then you're going to have the pump down here with the equipment, and they're going to have a line running up and feeding both this tank and the 600. So this is what makes it a 1,500 gallon system. You got 265 over here, connected to 700, connected to 600, all one system. As you can see, right now the sump is a denitrifying sump, so no light, just rock. It's just running a denitrifying bacteria with a protein skimmer. So that's going to be changing. The protein skimmer is going to stay. This old pump that's feeding all this is going to go. This section here is going to have your typical nutrient exporters, your Caulerpa, your Chaeto, Cato, whatever you want to call it, those types of things. Now this section here, all this rock, if you recall, is going to be going over into the 600, because the 600 is 4 feet tall. It's going to take a lot of material to build up a big, huge reef here. So that's going to be the foundation, is all that rock that you see here. And that's going to empty this out, and then the rest of it, the more intricate part of the reef, is going to be all the contents from the 265. You remember, everyone from the 265 is going over to the 600, which is going to leave us an empty section over here, and this is going to be a giant refugium like the 150. Let's take a look at the 150. So if you could imagine, the sump in the 700 gallon sump, or at least about 500 gallons of it, is going to look like this. It's going to be full of live rock, macroalgae, snails, starfish, crabs, cucumbers, you name it. Lots of critters eating detritus and eating algae. So we're going to have the protein skimmer, we're going to have the macroalgae nutrient export, and then we're going to have a big sump. So another reason that I've combined all the salt tanks on the second system together, the 265, the 600, 700 gallon sump, is because everything is interchanging between them. So you have all the contents of the 265 go into the 600. You have all the contents from the, or most of the contents from the 700 gallon sump going into the 600 gallon. So you need something to replace that. And here we have some of the things that are going to be replacing the contents of the 265. So as you see here, I have the blankets laid out in the same footprint as the 265, which is 7 feet long, 2 feet side to, or front to back, and then it's 30 or 31 inches tall, but that doesn't really matter for this. This is just to give me a scale for the new base rock. This isn't the actual design. It's just to make sure that kind of the rough design fits the size of the tank. You don't want to have an idea and have your idea need a 300, or, you know, whatever, an 800 gallon, then you're putting in a 265, it's not going to work. But so this is a sanity check, so I know that, okay, yeah, this is going to work. So this here 265 replacement, everything going over from the 265 600. Now here we have hundreds and hundreds of pounds of aragonite sand and aragonite crushed coral. So I'm going to mix that together to get different kind of a mix of aggregate sizes from sand to that. Also provides good buffering. And then this is the new pump that I was talking about. So this is a DC pump, and a cat getting in the way. A DC pump which is going to be feeding both of the aquariums. So this is much stronger than the 1,800 gallon per hour mag pump that's just feeding the one tank. And it uses, so this is more than twice as strong, and it uses a third of the wattage. So really, really looking forward to getting this plumbed in. And as you can see, this is going to be hard plumbed. All right, so new rock, new pump, new plumbing, new substrate. Everything from the 265 rolling into the 600, and everything from the sump. So we got the 1,500 gallon system truly is a complete overhaul. So eventually, I'm sure I will start filming it as the 265 or the 600, but for right now, we're going to call it the 1,500 gallon because everything is intertwined. Gallon system. Normally, I like to do the videos where I can take it all the way to the end, but this is just too big. There's a lot going on. Everything in there has got to, well, first of all, the 600 has got to be finished. Everything from here has got, well, gosh, I'm always getting ahead of myself. Everything from the sump is then got to go into the 600. And then everything from here goes into the 600. And then everything from down here has got to go into the 265. So there's just a ton of work to do. And it really is just one big 1,500 gallon system. So until this is built, until everything is built, moved over, all set and going, we're just going to call it the 1,500. And then, after that, we'll break it up and we'll start calling it the 265 and the 600, once they're two functioning tanks. But for now, this is where we stand. Next steps. All right, the braces are off. The blankets are gone. The silicone is trimmed. It's starting to look like a tank. The 600 gallon is coming along. You can see a better view of the black final epoxy coat. All getting ready. Keep in mind the front here is going to have a wall that comes all the way up, so you won't be able to see over the tank because you have the lights hanging down, so that wouldn't be good, but it'll have an opening to be able to access it. All the nastiness will be behind, and this will be all trimmed out, so once the drywall's up here, it'll be trimmed out with wood, so the little bit of a nasty edge will get covered up with all that, so you should just have a nice viewing panel. But it is coming right along. So the 600, it is ready for a test fill. Yeah, it is ready for a test fill. Obviously, I don't need to fill it all the way up to the drain. I'm pretty sure if it gets this high without a problem, then it'll be able to go that high. So, so what I'll do is I'll test fill it and let that start going, and I will work on that plumbing over there. I will work on getting all those drains plumbed in, get them into the sump, get the pump return going. Keeping in mind I'm going to be returning water from the pump to both the 265 and the 600 gallon. So a little bit of work to go there. And start getting this sump organized, start getting the pieces moved around, get it ready to be converted into Refugium, get the lighting installed. Yeah, a lot of work to do, but we are getting close. We are getting real close. So it's not going to be too long before this 600 gallon is going to be a real tank. It's going to be a fun one too. I've never had a tank that was as tall as this one, so I think once, I don't even think you can really appreciate it when it's empty. I think once we build up the aquascape in there, I think you'll really be able to picture or appreciate how deep the tank is, how tall it is. Yeah, this really should look like something. Get the lighting on there. I mean, I'm excited. It's fun to build it, but it's more fun to have the fish in there swimming around. That's what I look forward to. All right, so this baby is, we're getting close. We're going to get a lot of work done this weekend, and part 2 is going to, it's going to be exciting. I think we're going to have some really cool things to show in the next phase of this. All right, I'm going to kick back and take a little break. I've been working on the tank all night. A lot of cool things happening back there. A lot of cool things for part 2. Keep in mind that since we are moving everything from a completely cycled aquarium that's been running 8 years behind me, the 265 on the 700 gallon sump, into the 600 gallon, that's going to allow us to go straight from new tank to running tank, because we're moving cycled everything over, except for the media, or the substrate. That'll be new substrate, but all cycled live rock moving over, and it's going into a Refugium. It used to be a Sump, it's now a Sump, but it's going to be Refugium. So it's going into a filter that is already established, the big protein skimmer. It's all good. So we're going to get everything moved over from the 265. We're going to get the 600 gallon finished. We're going to get the water tests successfully done. I feel it. It's going to work. I'm going to get the plumbing done, get it all up and running. And then I'm going to have to give my buddy Mike a call and see if he can give me a hand moving all that live rock. That's a lot of work, because I think the tank this size, I'm going to have to be in the tank and have someone feed me the rock. Going in and out of that thing, I don't think is realistic. At least not for the bottom part. I mean, maybe I can get that bottom part of the reef situated with the larger boulders, but as I start to, and then as I build it up, maybe I could do it from the top. But I have a feeling I'm going to have to get in there with the water and the substrate and the rock, and just, you know, kind of like 3,000 gallon. You build a big tank, you just got to get inside of it to do stuff. That's just the way it is at the early stage when you're setting it up from scratch. So at any rate, that's what we look forward to in part 2. Is we're gonna have the 600 gallon built. We're gonna have water in it. We're gonna have all the aquascaping moved over. We're gonna have the lights on it. We're gonna have all the plumbing running. We're gonna have the fish from the 265 into the 600 gallon. We're gonna get lighting on the 700 gallon sump. We're gonna turn that sump into a refugium, a giant refugium, with lots of live rock, lots of critters, lots of macroalgae. It's gonna be impressive. It's gonna be lit up, so you're gonna actually be able to see it. And I think, quite honestly, there's going to have to be some underwater footage in that sump, because there's going to be a lot of stuff going, or Refugium, not sump. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on in there, so we're going to have to check that out and see if we can get some good footage. And then last but not least, the 265 gets a whole new makeover. All new base rock going in, cleanup of the whole tank, get it ready for new fish. And one of these fish that's going in the 265 is one of my bucket list fish. It's not that I couldn't have had it at different times, it just never worked out where I lived, if I was traveling too much, or I knew I was gonna have to move for work, and so I didn't want to establish a big aquarium to house it, or I thought maybe I was gonna build something for it, so I was waiting because I wanted to put it in just the right thing. I never did, but finally getting that fish now, and the fish is going to get some tank mates that I think are going to be pretty cool as well. I know I'll enjoy them, so hey, if nothing else, I'll enjoy it. But I think you guys will too. All right, so that's it for part 1 of building the 1,500 gallon system. Part 2 is coming soon. I promise. I'm working hard to get this done. I want to get this done. I can't wait to see it. So look out for part 2, and I'll see you guys later.